Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the final round of the SSRI Simsport Racing International GT4 Season 3 from Monza, Italy. Since September, we've spent our Tuesday evenings globetrotting and engaging in some extremely thrilling GT4 racing. But tonight, here at the Italian Temple of Speed, we will crown our overall champion. And to ease the cranium-cramping calculations that so often take place during a championship finale, there are only two drivers within a shot of the title, and the picture becomes even clearer when you factor this in. Aaron Martin Pilkington, championship standings leader, will win the title if he is able to finish the race, but a non-scoring event could see him toppled from his points lead at the death if the sole surviving challenger Bart Sverring takes victory. One of these gentlemen will step out of their sim rings a champion, 119 days in the making. One driver arrives at Monza already champion, however. Bas van Mellis wrapped up the AM category title last time out at Zolder. A stellar season from the Porsche driver has seen him pick up the trophy with one race to spare. A victory lap then in Monza for Mr. Van Mellis. The stage tonight for the Battle of the BMWs is the 3.6-mile Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. Known in Italian racing folklore as La Pista Magica, the magic track, the Lombardy circuit offers up some of the highest average speeds in the racing world. Retifilio, Curva Grande, Della Roggia, Lesmo, Ascari and Parabolica. 3 chicanes, 11 corners, tallying one of the highest stakes racetracks in motorsport history. Factor in a grid of nearly 40 cars funneling their way into the curvy confines of the first chicane on lap 1 and beyond, you will better be buckling your seatbelts for the race ahead. Good evening then, I'm Tim Fulbrook, back to guide you through the action once again, and I'm delighted to be joined in the commentary box by the crowd-pleasing Chris Hill. Chris, it all comes down to this, championship on the line. What a race we have in store for us this evening.
Good evening, Tim, and thank you for that fantastic introduction. Almost like you've done some research on the subject.
It would appear that way, wouldn't it, Chris?
It would, yes. No, it's final race of the season, and it's going to be an enjoyable one to watch. Need to say hello to everybody in the YouTube chat. Give us a like and a subscribe. Feed in some comments, and obviously the clean ones we'll read into the we'll read and put on the broadcast. But yeah, Tim, it's certainly going to be a good, exciting race, I feel, tonight. As you said, the funneling into the first corner. Are we going to see incidents? What's your gambling on that? Is there a pizza on it?
The pizza has become the currency to bet in, isn't it, in the community? Look, it's probably one of the trickiest opening corners out there, that ACC offers and that this GT4 championship will see. Typical then that it's the first corner of the last race. It's always a place where something could go wrong, and often it does. But with such a high level of competitiveness in this field, but also with an emphasis on clean driving and hard, fair racing, some paint might be exchanged, but fingers crossed there's no casualties from that first chicane. As Chris says, like to echo his thoughts, hello to everyone watching on the YouTube channel. If you do like the racing you see this evening, then please drop a like and a subscription to the Simsport Racing International YouTube channel. And exactly as Chris says, he's done this before. Drop all your comments in the YouTube chat. Let us know who you're following, who you're cheering on, your thoughts on the action. We'll do our best to get involved with you guys as you watch along the race with us as well. So, qualifying underway then. It's a pretty quick session, 20 minutes. We're already into the final 13 3/4 minutes of the session. The drivers have set a couple of laps already, and it's our championship leader, Aaron Martin Pilkington, setting the pace already at 1 minute 57.662 in the number 626 BMW M4 GT4, the SSRI car, emblazoned with the orange, white and black of the community as he thunders out of the Ascari chicane and down this long back stretch to Parabolica. One final braking zone. It's so easy to throw away the lap here, not only on the entry but also on the exit. Track limits, you can run wide once the power gets applied over that green section, over the white line, and find your lap time invalidated and your best time escaping away from you as he comes up to the line. Does he improve here? No, he doesn't actually. That would look like it could have been a warm-up lap or a lap where potentially Aaron made a little instant earlier than we caught him on the cameras. Now, Xander Vale tops the timesheets at 1:57.520. So the 808 Porsche driver putting 4 tenths between himself and championship leaders. We just saw there Aaron just skipping on through that first chicane late on the brakes and having to abort the lap. He then came to a stop, made sure he rejoined the circuit safely, but that's a surefire sign that he's pushing. And Chris, he has a healthy lead coming into this championship finale, 50 points, obviously with the drop score still to take place, but a surefire sign then that Aaron Martin Pilkington is not resting on his laurels. He's pushing even in qualifying.
I think we've heard from him in previous events. We've all asked him the same question. Do you just sit back and relax now you've got such a commanding lead in the championship, or do you push outright? And his answer's always been, I don't believe in sitting back. I like to push and push and push. So yeah, he is going to go flat out regardless of what happens.
Seems to be where he's most comfortable as well, is leaving it all on the line. Aaron Martin Pilkington has been ruthlessly fast this season and certainly taken like a duck to water to this championship, and look forward to seeing him battle on through with these GT4 cars in the future as well. Exciting times ahead for this community and beyond, and I'm sure we'll touch on that after the race this evening, Chris. But Aaron is rapid in his own right, isn't he? But that doesn't do disservice to the rest of the grid, because we've seen some thrilling racing throughout this season. We've seen a number of different drivers take the top spot and a number of different drivers finish on the podium. And at the moment, you look on the timing screen and the top 14 drivers are separated by a second. It's something we've come to know and love throughout this season. Yeah,
and I think a prime example of that is Brands Hatch, where we had the double round, where you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think Andreas won the first race, did he? And Aaron won the second race. But I do sit to be corrected. I'm not standing up tonight.
Andreas Garlin didn't win the first race. It was Aaron Martin Pilkington who won the first race in Alton Park. And then he went on a bit of a winning spree. But we have seen other race winners. We saw Tom Young take victory at Bathurst. So other drivers have been up there. We've had Bart Sverink on the podium for 7 consecutive races. So there have been drivers that found themselves more regularly than not at the top of the order, but it's always changing inside that top 10. One of those drivers you can see already at the moment, Nicholas Malott in the number 22 BMW. He was quite the contender in the last season. Then in this season seemed to have lost that pace that saw him compete in the top 5 of the championships in the black and red Porsche last season. Now he's in the black and red pseudo BMW, and he's finding pace in this final round of the season. It's been a tricky one for him. But Chris, last race of the season, it's a great opportunity, isn't it, to maybe wrap up things, maybe end a season on a high note. Nicholas maybe has been struggling this season, but it would maybe put all of those problems to rest if you bag a great result in this final event. You're only as good as your last race, is the saying.
That's very true. I don't know what else I can say. I've lost my train of thought already, as you know I do quite often. You ask me a question, I give you an answer that's completely unrelated. So, I've got a pair of shoes that got laces on. What's yours like?
Perfect. And this is where I pretend to have understood what your answer was and continue on with the commentary. That's what normally comes in next. So let's have a look then. Bas van Mellis, Mode 11 Racing. He is our AM category champion in the brightly coloured Porsche Cayman GT4. He has been pretty stellar this season, very consistent, finishing inside at the top 10 on multiple occasions, which for a driver who battles against his own physical obstacles, as well as being in this second category, and you can find yourself often being beaten up by the drivers fighting for the overall points. To find Baz consistently inside the top 10, top 15, picking up points, it's been a very strong season for Baz, and I know we so often have Baz's mum tuning in for the race evening as well. So if you are watching Baz's mum, your son's a champion, and he's on a bit of a victory lap this evening at Monza as he comes into the final corner at Parabolica. He's 7 tenths down on the current pole position time from Xander Vale, but as he exits the final corner, he tries to short line that run towards the start-finish line to set his time. Does he improve? Yes, a couple of tenths better than his previous best. Bas van Mellis leaps inside the top 10. He's up to the 4th row as it stands, just over half a second off pole position. It was a very stellar lap from Baz there, but he is 3rd in the AM category at the moment. Dimitri Schenk, 3rd overall, is currently leading the way. Arjen Loemans in P5, 2nd. Bas van Mellis then in P8 is 3rd. Then you've got to go all the way down to P13 for Colin Hines in the number 5 McLaren for the next car in that championship. But here is Bart Sverink on screen now. The Sim Racing Holland driver, the number 12 BMW M4 GT4 rattles its way across the curbs at Ascari before powering down towards the Parabolica. It's going to be do or die for Bart this evening. He needs to win the race and hope that Aaron Martin Pilkington fails to score points if he's to stand within a chance of taking home the championship this evening. But factor in as well that beyond that title fight, there's a total of 4 other drivers that could be within a shot of picking up P2. So even if Sverink can't chase down Pilko for the overall crown, he's got his work cut out to stop Danny de Swart, Andreas Garlin and Sem Spenkelink snatching that P2 in the standings. It's not going his way so far this evening as we head into the final 6.5 minutes of qualifying, down in P16 and nearly a second off the provisional pole. But it's no points for qualifying. It's all about the race this evening. So hopefully Bart will be able to fight his way through the pack. But it's certainly a steep hillside to climb from there. Now here is Aaron Martin Pilkington, stopped out on track. He goes back to pit. Sorry, Chris, you're about to say something.
Sorry, Tim. I think Bart's got it slightly easier because Danny Swart signed off for tonight, so he's not actually racing. So I just wanted to throw that little bit of fact in for a change.
Absolutely. Well, yes, it's definitely factors in for Bart then. Another driver who he's fighting against that he doesn't have to worry about. So instead of having to keep eyes on the relative, he can maybe keep one of the many eyes that were on the relative, put it back on the racetrack and focus on his way. A number of drivers in pit lane. Looks like the top 5 potentially are stopped in their pit boxes, which is interesting because with 5.5 minutes to go, the clock is certainly ticking on them getting out, getting around on an initial lap, then potentially sacrificing their first warm-up lap to make sure, their first quick lap to make sure that the tyres, etc., are up to speed and the car is ready to push for the qualifying lap. 5 minutes to go then. Xander Vale still hold on to pole position, a 1 minute 57.250. Then it's 5 thousandths back to Aaron Martin Pilkington and Dimitri Schenk with Frank Hopp P4. Arjen Loemans, Yannick Valenduk, who put up a spirited fight in Zolden, the number 301 at BMW, looked very quick indeed. The Dukes of Janus car, the 301, looking resplendent as ever in the Milanese sunshine as he comes through the second Lesmo, chasing hard on Sem Spenkelink, trying to get the slipstream as Sem in the Maserati battles a huge slide on the exit of that second Lesmo. As they come down the hill under the bridge where the old banking here at Monza flies over the top of the circuit. Yannick Vanenduk slides on through and a flash of the hazard lights to say thank you for getting out of the way as he flies through the Ascari chicane, and Spenkelink looks to have gone very wide indeed and actually cuts the corner there, so he'll need to get back on track and runs the risk of losing that toe from the BMW if that's what he wanted, the slipstream, as they come down then towards Parabolica and get ready for their next lap. So Valenduk in P6, then it's Nicholas Malott in P7, Bas van Mellis in P8, Tim Krul and Andreas Garlin, your top 10 positions. Then it's Peter Vanier, Dennis Verkman, Jordi Bakker, Mike Abrenhoser and Jan-Paul Eikelenboom, your top 15 positions. Then it's Colin Hines, Bart Sverink slips down to 17th, ahead of Evan Atafas, Patrick Tractor, Stefan Arvidsson, Patrick Vance, Suke Vervat and Sem Spenkelink, your top 23 positions. Spenkelink clearly struggling, 2.1 seconds off the pace with 3.5 minutes to go. The clock is ticking down then, and they'll need to be heading out on track if they're to have enough time to set a lap. As they come into the Curva Grande, Yannick Valenduk is certainly harrying on. He's got half a tenth. Can't get my words together tonight, Chris, all this excitement. Half a second to find if he is to knock Xander Vale off pole position. But easier said than done as he rattles through the second chicane and up to the first Lesmo into the right-hander. It's nice and cambered through there, so you can often find that the car has a lot more grip than you might anticipate. Then into the second Lesmo, where you need to be prioritising your exit from the corner as you have this long run through the trees of this national park here in Milan and under the old banking. And you come up towards the Ascari chicane. It's 3 parts, left, right and left. Heaviest braking comes for the first part. Skip over the curb on the inside, and that's just dislodged Vandenberg slightly there, pushed him wide, and he did seem to cut over that right-hand side curb pretty heavily. Wonder if that only cost him time, but may have invalidated his lap. He still looks to be pushing on the run down towards Parabolica, so maybe he still is able to complete this lap. 2 minutes on the clock, so he will be able to go round again, as one of the Aston Martins in front runs very wide. That's one of the Pulse Motorsport car, potentially Suke Vervat, running wide there. As then they come down to cross the line. Sorry, that was Georgie Backer.
I wasn't going to correct you then.
Really
Schalke doesn't work to drive for Pulse.
No, he doesn't. It's
the second fact of the night. That I'm impressed. I'm on a roll.
Waiting for the third, and then something might go wrong. We'll see what happens. Sander Vale, though, still top. 1.5 minutes to go. Here's Peter Vanier in P11. 7/10 to find. That's quite the big ask round Monza, especially if you haven't got a slipstream, and it looks like he's in isolation at the moment. The next car up the road is Sander Vale, who's just exited the second Lesmo. So Vanier's got to do it all on his own here as he clips the curbs through that second chicane and comes up towards the first Lesmo in the number 34 Sim Racing Holland Porsche Cayman, through the first Lesmo over the curb on the outside and into the second part of this sequence. It's Cameron Fife in the YouTube chat telling me to call the final corner curve Alboreto, please, Tim. Yes, I know it's changed to Alboreto, but I prefer Parabolica. I don't know whether that will get me in trouble for preferring to call it Parabolica, but I'll do my best, Cameron, to switch things up for this race then. 30 seconds to go on the clock. So drivers running out of time to cross the line and commence their final hot laps. Peter Vanier will potentially just miss out on getting another. We'll see. It should be close, but a number of drivers are in pit lane, including our championship leader Aaron Martin Pilkington and Dimitri Schenk. Then it's Arjen Lermans, Nicholas Malott, Bas van Mellis and Tim Krul. So we've got 7 drivers inside the top 10, all in pit lane. The only driver in that top 10 that could respond for pole, well, it was Frank Hopp, Yannick Vandenberg and Andreas Garlin is still out there on track, ready to fight back. Peter Vanier did improve on that lap. We cut away from him before he finished, but he goes up to P9. As here is Frank Hopp, who's pulling a stellar performance out of the bag in this final race of the season. Currently on the second row of the grid, but still out there on track with an opportunity to improve from P4. He's got 3/10 to find, and he could do it on this lap. Tim Krul pits as well from P10. So there's a number of drivers now locked in. They're accepting their fate. It's now in the hands of the other drivers out there on track. Bart Sverink down in 17th. Can he improve on his last chance? Crosses the line. P4. That's more like it from the driver of the number 12 BMW. Crosses the line and leaps up a whole handful of positions to be within a shot of fighting Aaron Martin Pilkington as Jan-Paul Eichenboom comes around curve at Alboreto. There you go, Cameron Fife, for the final time in this qualifying session. Comes over to the right-hand side to shorten the run to the line. P16, does he improve? Yes, gains a couple of positions. A 158.090 sees him move up to P14. There's a number of other drivers now collecting the checkered flag. Dennis Berkman heads into curve Alboreto for the last time. Frank Hopp crosses the line, doesn't improve, so he stays P5 after being knocked from the second row by Bart Sverink. Berkman comes across the line. Does he improve from P13? Yes, up to P10. So we've seen a whole host of improvements on these final runs. Andreas Garlin is next, as well as Evan Atafas from P18. Does he improve? No, he stays down there on the 9th row of the grid. But Chris, exciting qualifying as ever. Top 2 positions separated by 0.005 of a second. But Sander Vale will be very happy indeed to bag pole position for the final race.
Hey, Will, did you also notice that first to 18th place were within a second? That for a championship of this, outstanding is fantastic to see. So first to 18th, I'm gobsmacked by that. And you're lucky normally if you can get the top 10 in that within that, but it's astounding. So Sanders got to try and get off the line as quick as he can, nice and clean into the first chicane. You can call all the names out. I'm sure Pilco will give him a run for his money, but watch out for Dimitri and Bart in third and fourth, ready to pick up any pieces that are laid out bare in the chicane.
Absolutely. And what was interesting to see from those split sector times there, the qualifying results, Van der Velde not fastest in any of the three sectors. It was Yannick Valenduk in sector 1 who grabbed the purple time. Then it was Aaron Martin Pilkington sector 2 and Frank Hopp sector 3. So Vale has been consistently quick around the lap, and that's something we often see here at Monza. Cars fast in sectors 1 and 3 where they're able to utilise that top speed, and then through sector 2 where there's more corners to negotiate. Through the second chicane, the two Lesmos, we see other cars can fight back and find performance in that second third of the lap. But interesting to see that Vale's been able to bag pole position time without a purple sector to his name. So a fast car across the board. So a minute to go before the drivers roll away on the parade lap. So let's run you through the order. It is Van der Velde alongside Aaron Martin Pilkington on the front row, the purple Porsche. Picks pole position. Then it's Dimitri Schenk in P3 with Bart Sverink, two BMWs line astern. In fact, there's 4 BMWs nose to tail, etc. down the left-hand side of the grid. Then it's Frank Hopp in the 570 Audi in P5 alongside Yannick Valenduk in the 301 bright orange BMW M4. Then it's Arjen Lermans on the left-hand side of your screen alongside Nicolas Malot, who bags P8 in the final qualifying of the session. Bas van Mellis, our AM category champion, lines up on P9 alongside Dennis Verkman. Then it's Peter Vanya in the number 34 Porsche with the fastest of the McLarens racing this evening, the number 90 of Tim Krul in P12. Then it's Andreas Gahl in P13 alongside Jan-Paul Eikelenboom. And Jordi Bakker's Pulse Motorsport Aston Martin P15 alongside Mike Abranhoser. Then it's Colin Hines, Evan Natafas in the pink and black Wild Things Racing Porsche Cayman. Before it's Stefan Arvidsson, Patrick Tractor, Patrick Vance, Suke Vervat, Sem Spenkelink, and Gamissia Casalud rounding out your top 24 positions. The Alpine, the last car there on the right-hand side on the grid. Sem Spenkelink clearly struggling in qualifying this evening as they roll away from the grid to begin the final parade lap of the season. And Chris, you joined me in the commentary box for a number of the races this season. Do you have any standout highlights? Any races you particularly enjoyed or involved? Enjoy being involved with the action. I remember Brands Hatch was particularly exciting in the wet, as well as Snetterton. We had some interesting battles as well. Any picks for you? Potentially seem to have lost Chris or his wonky ceiling fan.
No, shut up about ceiling fan. Sorry, I had my mic off. I'm an idiot. Probably good reason. So yeah, Brands Hatch, where we had 2 separate winners on both on the 2 separate rounds. I think that was certainly outstanding. But I'm not saying this just to be nice to you, Tim. But any race that I've commentated with you since I've started has been fantastic.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you on board, Chris. I think but coming into your commentary stint for the G4s, you weren't too sure about trying out the GT4s yourself. You didn't have much experience, but what have you learned from this season? It's certainly a close category, isn't it?
I've learned that I'm going to be driving the GT4 in the upcoming season at SRI that starts on the 25th of January. So I should be driving McLaren. I've still got some testing to do. I've got to do my pre-season test yet, but that's the plan. So you've inspired me to race the GT4, and I encourage other people to come and join.
Absolutely, you've been converted, Chris, which is great to hear, because this GT4 category is brilliant. It's one I've raced in and enjoyed, battling in the pack and with a number of the drivers on the grid as well. certainly very exciting and a really interesting period of time ahead of us, like you say, with the new championship rolling around shortly. But more information on that later. We've got a race ahead of us, 60 minutes. It's going to be flag to flag action. Drivers are not required to pit as they have been in other races this season. So there's no reason to come down pit road. And if we see any drivers entering pit lane, we must assume that there's a problem or they may have been handed a penalty. So keep the car out on track, keep the car on track, and see you at the checkered flag as the grid starts to form up now. Zander Vale will lead them round the Curva Alboreto to take the start for the final race of the season alongside Aaron Martin Pilkington, Dimitri Schenk and Bart Zverenk, your top 4 positions. But look at this fantastic sight there on the run down to the last corner. Flags waving in the stands. The sun is shining. No chance of rain. It's a nice and toasty 16 degrees compared to most parts of the world this time of year. I would certainly not say no to a flight to Milan at this time of year. Around the final corner, the grid will get ready to embark on 60 minutes of flag-to-flag action here at Monza. A whole line of BMWs will start on the driver's left-hand side of the grid. There's 4. You can see Martin Pilkington, Bart Zverenk, Yannick Valenduk and Nicolas Malot will all be nose to tail a train from Munich on the run down to the first corner here in Milan. So we get ready then to take the green flag. The grid is formed, 60 minutes ahead of us. One final hurrah in this championship season. It's been 119 days, but we're here and the green flag waves, and it's a really rapid start from Aaron Martin Pilkington, who leaps ahead of Zander Vale. But watch out for Frank Hopp further back there. From this aerial shot, we can see the 570 blue and yellow Audi looking for a way past the pole position man, as there's contact there between Dimitri Schenk and Nicolas Malot. They rattle off each other around the barriers. Frank Hopp skips on through the grass, lucky to avoid T-boning the race leader. Aaron Martin Pilkington picks up the baton at the front. Frank Hopp recovers from the gravel, slots into P2, but I wouldn't be surprised if he moves aside and lets a few cars go. Dimitri Schenk looks to have pinballed off the right and then left-hand side barriers there on the run down to the first chicane. I wonder if his Mercedes has sustained damage. I certainly can't see him in the back of shot there. There he is, right down the order actually. It looks like he's in the pack, down outside the top 15 potentially, as they all come up to the Della Roggia chicane. And through the left and the right, it's Aaron Martin Pilkington who leads the way. He's got the whole shot over his rival for the entire season so far. Bart Zverenk 1.6 seconds back. Martin Pilkington needs to push on through the Lesmos. He's more or less broken the slipstream from his BMW rival. It's a BMW 1, 2, 3, 4 as Yannick Valenduk and Arjen Lermans pick up the top 4 spots. Then it's Frank Hopp behind Zander Vale, P6, Dennis Verkman, Bas van Mellis and Nicolas Malot sit back down to P9. The timing tower is jumping all over the place, so I'll let it sort itself out. Here is the red and black BMW, the number 22, slotting in behind the grey and green Porsche Cayman 444 of Dennis Verkman. But as they come through Ascari for the first time of asking, we're already seeing the field just start to separate out as they've had plenty of time to run side by side. The order's definitely starting to form as they finish this first lap. 58 minutes. It's over a 2-minute lap here at Monza. On the exit of Curva Alboreto, though, it is Aaron Martin Pilkington who leads the way. Bart Zverenk second. Yannick Valenduk now 5 tenths behind his fellow BMW. Frank Hopp, Zander Vale top 5. Dennis Verkman here looking for a way past his Porsche rival on the run up towards the first chicane. He dives out of the slipstream but isn't able to carry the momentum. Opts to back out of it and live to fight another day on the run down to the first chicane. Then it's Nicolas Malot in behind. Arjen Lermans and Jan-Paul Eikelenboom with Andreas Garlin, your top 10. But Chris, we did forecast potentially some drama at the first corner, but it looked like we had a bit of contact before we even got there.
Yeah, it was great to see. That was, as far as I'm aware, we couldn't see everything. There was no actual instance at the chicane, apart from Frank completely outbraking himself and going straight across it all. But it was on the run down to the chicane where Dimitri collected a car, and my memory's already gone who that was. It was Nicholas, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I think Dimitri's had another incident because he's in pits now, so he's either getting a repair or he's retiring. But he's down in 24th.
Yeah, an absolute shame. It looked like his Mercedes was kind of gobbled up by the pack, and then he just found himself with no room to spare on the run into the second chicane. An absolute shame for the driver of the number 8 car. He's in pit lane. I wonder if whether he will resume racing services this evening. Mike Abramhosa side by side into the Ascari chicane with Geordie Backer. Now he's on the outside, which will become the inside through the 3-piece sequence, and that actually forces Backer slightly wide and over the gravel on the exit there. But Mike Abramhosa gains the position up to P13 now, and that loss of momentum for Backer sees him come under threat for Evan Atafas on the run down to Curva Alboreto. The Porsche looks up the inside, but I don't think he could make the move stick as Bas van Mellis, our AM category champion, is locked in the slipstream of Andreas Garlid now in the fight for P11 as they thunder across the start-finish line. Here is Geordie Backer. Lost 2 positions in the space of 2 corners there. He now falls behind Natafas, and on the run down to the first chicane, look at Colin Hines. He's got a massive overspeed on the exit, and on the run down the start-finish straight, he's on the outside as they run into the first chicane. They're nearly 3 wide. Backer up the inside of Natafas. We hope not to see a Verstappen-Hamilton incident here, and they managed to get round cleanly. That's how you do it, boys, as they exit the first chicane. Natafas holds on to the position for now, but Backer's fighting back side by side into Curva Grande, the long stretch round to the right-hand side. Backer's on the inside, which will become the outside for the second chicane. You'll have to go the long way around. They're still side by side as they come up to the braking zone. Atafas will have to be brave to stick it up the inside there, but Backer is able to do it. Holds onto the spot, runs wide into the gravel, and he's going to lose maybe 2-3 positions as not only does the McLaren of Colin Hines come through, but Peter Vanya sniffs blood and goes for a move, as well as Sem Spenkelink, who sees an open door, and he's never going to say no. He slides on through as well. So in the course of less than a lap, Geordie Backer has slipped back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions. He's now down into P17, P18 actually, a side-by-side now, Sem Spenkelink with Peter Vanya under the bridge on the run up towards the Ascari chicane. He's on the outside. Can he brave it out in the Maserati? Locks up slightly on the brakes, skips across through the beach, through the grass, as Bas van Mellis has had his own incident as well. So has Andreas Garlin. So there's been contact, I'm sure of it, further up the road. Andreas Garlin, slow as he returns to the track, is again going to suffer the same consequence as Geordie Backer and see a whole train of cars run on through as Tim Kroll gets up the inside of Jan Weichlenboom on the exit of the Curva Alboreto. But Chris, it's something we see at Monza, isn't it? So fast on so many parts of this track that if you find yourself compromised returning to the racing surface, you just got to let that train by.
You have. It's so difficult to get back, and especially going to the gravel traps. Obviously, in this simulator, the gravel trap doesn't slow you down that much, and you don't get grounded, fortunately. But it's still a compromise. Your tyres are dirty when you come back on the track. You lose grip. It's just a kick in the teeth, isn't it? As soon as you run off.
Absolutely. Here's a replay though. This is of Tim Kroll. Let's have a look. This is the incident though. That's Bas van Mellis being spun to the left-hand side. He keeps out of the barrier. It looked like a BMW was in the back of him. The red and green car up the road from Baz. I wonder who that was. They were together on track. He was fighting with Andreas Garlin. I don't think it was Nicholas Malott, but I wonder if that could have been potentially Mike Abramhosa, who's now dropped down the order. The number 21 car down in 22nd place. Look at this train of cars exiting the Lesmo 2. The next stop is the Ascari chicane as they thunder down through the trees and under the bridge. Let's see how the order is resumed as they exit the chicane. It is the McLaren of Colin Hines who is the locomotive at the front. Then you've got the carriages behind of Peter Vanya, Evan Atafas, Andreas Garlin, this pink and black Aston Martin. Then it's another McLaren. Patrick Tractor's decided to join in the fun with Sem Spenkelink at the back. Geordie Backer just trying to hang on to the coattails of the train in front. As they now come down towards the Curva Alboreto into the right-hander. As up the inside, Tractor has a look at Andreas Garlin. It looks like he's got the move done. as they exit that final corner, and Sem Spenkelink is locked to the back of that McLaren 570S and hoping to follow on through, and does so. He's now in the slipstreams. The three cars all move over to the right-hand side as Garlin picks up the tow from the Maserati Gran Turismo, who in turn is benefiting from the straight line speed of that McLaren. They're all looking up the inside of Evan Atafas on the run into the first chicane, but they all back out of it. It's late on the break, but Patrick Tractor gets in, and there's an Alpine steaming in. That's Kalatoyud makes contact there with Andreas Garlin and sends him off as well. Evan Atafas was involved in contact and spins to the right-hand side. A number of cars arriving at the chicane all at once, and unfortunately, not all of them coming out cleanly as they go into that first chicane. As Sem Spenkelink is benefiting from that, though. He managed to avoid any sort of collision. He's in P14, but struggling under the brakes into the chicane. Geordie Backer behind, looking for a way through. The two Pulse Motorsport cars nose to tail the gold and blue Aston Martins together on the track as they come up towards the left. And on the exit, Sem Spenkelink just able to gap them slightly as they come out, but actually Spenkelink's got the exit there as he looks for a way around the outside of the McLaren on the run down to Ascari. The corner where we saw him spinning qualifying, he certainly managed to get it nailed for the race. Locked into the back of the 570S and into the chicane, has backed out of it by the time they arrive at the braking zone. And look for a move later on in this race. 10 minutes are yet to elapse. We're 5 seconds away from that short milestone in this race. It feels like we've had an entire sprint event so far, as Aaron Martin Pilkington still leads the way. Here's a replay then of what happened. So Evan Atafas is trying to go around the outside of Patrick Tractor, and there's front left to right rear contact, which spins the Porsche. But whilst that was happening, 2 or 3 car lengths back, the Alpine came steaming on in. Like there may have been an issue there for Kalatoud's car, and he just makes side-to-side contact and sends him through the grass. A shame there to see contact, quite heavy contact as well, at the first turn. It so regularly is a hot spot for action and a hot spot for drama nonetheless. And both cars, I'm sure, will be carrying damage for this second half. This remaining 50 minutes. One of those cars being Andreas Garlin in the 188 Aston Martin. He's dropped down to P17, just at the back of shot there. But Kalatoud's definitely going to be carrying front-end damage from that instant, as skipping across the chicane, Patrick Tractor, as he battles away with Sem Spenkelink. These two are fighting for P13 on the road, but it's currently being held by that driver of the 313 machine as they exit the Lesmos and come up towards the second right-hander. At the moment, it looks like Sem holds on to the spot because behind it's Geordie Backer who's looking to recover and fight back from a difficult opening 10 minutes where we saw him lose a few positions. There's a yellow flag through the Ascari chicane as well. Looks like there's a car off, and that's a spun BMW. Could that be our race leader, number 626? It is. Aaron Martin Pilkington drops from the race lead, a spin at the Ascari chicane. He was facing the wrong way, recovers and on the run down to the Parabolica, but he's dropped well down the order. He's in between one of the Aston Martin fight there. I think that's Patrick Vance and Andreas Garlin that he's in between. As Spenkelink goes rally crossing on the exit of the Curva Alboreto, sliding wide through the right-hander. He's all crossed up on the runoff, but Aaron Martin Pilkington tumbling down the order. He was out in front, just ahead of what looked like Yannick Vanenduk. So I wonder whether there's been contact between the two BMWs, or whether Martin Pilkington has made a mistake on his own. He's now down in P16. Let's have a look then. A replay as he comes into the Ascari chicane, all over the curb on the left, all over the curb on the right. Oh, and it's on the brakes in the transition into the final part of the 3-part sequence that the car just loops round and finds himself into the barrier. and tumbling down the order as Sem Spenkelink cuts the chicane. And Chris, that was an uncharacteristic error from Aaron Martin Pilkington. We've seen him at the front and be able to just completely control a race, but again, proof that he's not leaving anything to chance, and he's very much pushing on in this final race of the season.
Yeah, he's not inflammable, is he, at all? Yeah, that was intended, that, by the way. We did see at Laguna he had a couple of issues and decided to retire the car, if you recall. But yeah, it is quite uncharacteristic of him. He's just normally, once he gets out in the lead, he's gone. I'm just curious, and I might have missed a bit here, but what's happened to Bart? Because he was in second place and he's now down in 8th. When Aaron spun there, I was expecting him to take the lead. I might have had a sleep somewhere along the line. I'm not at that age. So if you can fill me in, that'd be brilliant.
Well, I didn't actually see what happened to Bart either. I know that it was Yannick Valenduk who was in second and chasing him down. So it looks like there's been something that's caused the number 12 to drop down to P8. So he definitely has lost a few spots as we've been focusing on some other pretty hectic action, and it's kicking off still as Aaron Martin Pilkington tries to defend P16, or rather go on the offensive and basically resurrect this race result with 45 minutes and 22 seconds to go as he gets past Andreas Garlin in the pink and black Aston Martin. Peter Vanya's picked up a drive-through penalty. That could be from a number of reasons, but maybe he's been cutting the track one too many occasions. A Sim Racing Holland number 34 Porsche looked slow on its run round the Curva Grande there, and he still looks to be not quite on racing speed as Sem Spenkelink and Patrick Tractor close in, followed by the two Pulse Motorsport Aston Martins. And just at the bottom of shot there, we actually saw Vanya pulling off to the inside of the chicane. It looks like he's stopped as Evan Atafas and Bas van Mellis, it's a battle of the Porsches there, side by side into the second chicane. At the moment, it looks like Atafas has been able to hold on to that spot as they go into the right and into the second right-hander at the Lesmo. As we are currently having a couple of stream issues. It seems to be freezing a little bit, so apologies if we have missed any of the action on screen. Here is Bas van Mellis locked in the slipstream of the Porsche of Evan Atafas as they come down towards this Ascari chicane, and behind that's Gamisha Kalatud in the number 9 Alpine. And after that, as Evan Atafas goes all kinds of sideways, not rejoining, taps the rear of Bas van Mellis and sends the AM category champion spinning as well through the gravel on the exit of the Ascari chicane. And both drivers lucky to escape from that one with their races somewhat intact. It looked like Atafas was having his own instant and just happened to collect the back of the number 11 Mode 11 Racing Cayman. That was such a shame to see both drivers already drop down the order. It looks like more time is going to be hemorrhaged with that incident. And as we over 15 minutes have elapsed, it is Yannick Valenduk who's picked up the baton at the front of the race, courtesy of our championship leader, Aaron Martin Pilkington, making a mistake. So it's the bright orange 301 M4 of Valenduk that leads the way. He's got 4.866 seconds over Dennis Berkman, second place at the moment in the number 444 Porsche. Then it's Zander Vale, our pole sitter in the 808 car, in P3 ahead of Nicholas Malott and Tim Krul, your top 5. Then it's Arjen Lohmans, Jan-Paul Eikelenboom, Bart Zvereck, Frank Hopp and Colin Hines, your top 10 positions, as Aaron Martin Pilkington skips across the second chicane as he's pushing on to try and put together some sort of result from this evening, as that spin has certainly proved costly. He's going to have to deploy a lot of pace over the remaining 42 minutes and a half to climb back up the order and challenge for the race win. Bart Zvereck in P8 here, skipping across the curves at the Ascari chicane. He's got a great run and he's going to be looking for a way past Jan-Paul Eikelenboom on the run down to the Curva Alboreto. They are side by side. The yellow and black Mercedes on the inside, the BMW going to the outside. It is possible to go the long way round, and they remain side by side. It's a stellar defence actually from Eikelenboom. He's able to just go in later on the brakes and run his own line and close the door on the exit and hold on to P7 as we ride on board with the number 12 BMW in P8 across the line, tucked into the slipstream with the Mercedes in front. As there's the Porsche of Bas van Mellis returns to the race, and Zwerink threads the needle through the middle of the two cars and then goes up the inside of the Mercedes, gets the position, pouncing on the opportunity as traffic returned to the race and potentially just distracting Eikelenboom for a split second there as Frank Hopp's close in behind in P9. Tim Kroll up to P4 though, the Lork driving number 19 McLaren. He's got Nicholas Milot and Arjen Lermans for company. Let's get these slipstream trains forming at Monza, where you get groups of cars that stick together as they lap on, using the slipstream to go as quickly as they can around the long stretches here. There has been drama, but a lot of the McLarens, well, all three McLarens, have moved forward so far this race, so an indication that potentially they're quick in a straight line, as drama looks to be kicking off here between Jordi Bakker, Patrick Vance and Patrick Tractor. 3 cars on screen, the McLaren and the 2 Pulse Motorsport Aston Martins seemingly kicking up the dust and gravel, and more so on the run through the second chicane, and Bakker goes wide, skims through the gravel on the exit of the second Lesmo. But look at this, momentum lost. Aaron Martin Pilkington smiles. That's an easy one for him, up to P14 now as he continues his climb back up the order. An easy picking though, as Bakker ran wide on that exit the second Lesmo and skipping through the gravel cost him all that momentum, something we've already mentioned this race. Even the loss of just a little bit of speed, a slight slip on exit or anything like that costs you that straight line speed. It's multiplied by the time you get to the end of one of these long straights here at Monza. You can find yourself losing positions without the ability to defend them. So now the next on Martin Pilkington's list of cars to pass is Patrick Vance in the 777 Aston Martin, the gold and blue car, on board with the BMW across the start finish line. And look at the straight line speed he's got, moves to the left hand side, he's almost entirely alongside before they've even reached the braking zone. He's actually able to drag on through and clear the Aston Martin before they drop the anchor for T1 and 2, but brave look up the inside from Patrick Vance. Aaron Martin Pilkington goes to turn in and does so as the Aston Martin skips across the curb, and there's contact between them, a spin for Martin Pilkington, and that allows Jordi Bakker as well as Andreas Garlin to potentially get a move through, as Vance slows down on the exit and allows the BMW to retake the position, but could be a position loss as they run round through the Curva Grande. Hasn't quite got the speed, has Andreas Garlin, to be able to make a move, and after all of that, Martin Pilkington remains in P14 as they come through the second chicane. But that was a brave move, Chris, there, wasn't it, from Patrick? He had lost out on the straight, but there was room, and he was far enough alongside as they ran into that T1.
You referred to it earlier on about Hamilton and Verstappen. It was a very similar incident, but obviously both cars managed to set off, and one of them becomes a champion and the other doesn't.
Absolutely, it certainly is one of those difficult areas of this racetrack, and especially when you're trying to find a way past another car or defend your position. There seems to be drama unfolding at that first chicane, a corner that's undergone numerous alterations throughout its lifespan. There was even a double chicane at one point that saw the cars curve round to the right hand side, go left, right, and then left and right again, but simplified in its most current format is this first chicane here at Monza. Frank Hopp looking for a way past Jan-Paul Eikelenboom's Mercedes on the run down towards T1. He's got a healthy slipstream, looks to the inside, he's able to get the car stopped this time as they go into the right-hander, but the Mercedes tries to go around the outside. They're both leaving each other just enough room to leave the second apex fairly unscathed, but it's order resumed. Frank Hopp remains in P9 behind the Mercedes as they come through Curva Grande. He's going to try again in the slipstream. Can he get the speed, the overspeed that is offered by the tow? He does look to the inside, and he is certainly giving it a good go, but the yellow and black car able to defend his position as they both skip across the curb. Slightly slower exit for Eikelenboom is going to allow Hopp up the inside. into the first Lesmo, and the number 5 70 Audi gets the job done on the brakes and is up to P8 as they go into the second Lesmo. Position is gained. Now, can we see the Mercedes fight back in the tow? Already looks like through those two right-handers that Frank Hopp has been able to put a bit of space between himself and the Mercedes. And the run down towards Ascari looks like he's going to keep the position with no real threat as we move forward up the order. This is a battle for positions 2 and 3. Dennis Berkman is coming under fire from Zander Vale. The two Porsche Caymans are fighting out for second and third. As it looks like on the track map on the right hand side, there was a car stopped on the run down between the Ascari chicane and Curve Alboreto. I think that was the number 9 car, the Alpine of Calasaud, that's been involved in plenty of drama this evening, but looks like he's got going and no other casualties from that incident. But Zander Vale here, he was on pole, now in P3, and he would have been further down had there not been drama for the likes of Bart Zverenk and Aaron Martin Pilkington. So Vale sniffs an opportunity at a very strong finish in this final race of the season. 35 and a half minutes to go. Plenty of time to get a move on Dennis Berkman, but that's not the easiest of tasks, to say the least, getting past this number 444 Porsche Cayman. Come up to left-right of the second chicane, both taking generous helpings of the curbs on the both apexes. So they come up towards the first Lesmo, and Jitse Medina in the YouTube chat saying it's an easy track to drive, very hard track to have a battle. Yes, it is difficult to escape unscathed if you decide to fight it out with your rivals out on track. Sam Spenkelink looked to be locking up there into the second chicane, struggling to get the car stopped in his fight with Patrick Tractor's number 313 DD Racing McLaren. Through the two Lesmos they go. Spenkelink does look to have struggled in this race in particular. He seems to have been fairly strong in overcoming the technological disadvantages of that Maserati Gran Turismo. No ABS, no traction control. A track like Monza, Chris, you've got to be brave to try it with such heavy braking zones.
Yeah, you have. I've had a practice in the Maserati, and if I could drive it, I would for the championship. It's such a beautiful sounding car from inside, which I'm sure you're hearing now. But yeah, it's not a car for me, unfortunately. I've not got the skill set as Sam has to drive it and control it in such a fashion, locking up and managing to still make the corner. As we saw at the Lesmo, wasn't it? No, it wasn't. It was a chicane. I'll shut up and carry on just waffling.
It's all right, I'll do some more excitable waffling, see how that gets us through the next 33 and a half minutes.
It can be a notice.
Absolutely. Yeah, Sam Spenklink's been getting on top of that Maserati throughout this season. But at a track like Monza, and as we see, skipping through the grass, again, having that problem where just as he hits the brakes and having to modulate that brake pedal to ensure he is in control of the car as he slows down towards the next corner, just gets a bit of a wiggle on. And on that occasion, there wasn't a curb or runoff to come to his rescue. Two wheels on the grass, and he gets dragged on through the escape road at that first chicane. He's somewhat lucky there, I would say, because Patrick Tractor looked to be readying a pass on the number 1 car. As
he could quite easily have passed him then. Sam has effectively cut the chicane, and you know, he could argue that he's gained an advantage by almost going off. But we've got Michael Massey on board as our race director, so that's perfectly allowed.
Very good. Well, that's 2 Formula 1 references this evening. Let's see how many more we tally up. As Patrick Tractor now side by side with Aaron Martin Pilkington. So he's gone to from offence to defence as he comes into the Ascari chicane. As the 626 looks for a way past, but a stalwart defence from the 313 McLaren as they thunder through the left, right and left again. There's a yellow flag further back up the road. They look like the 188 car of Andreas Garlin, and it is the pink and black Mad Goetze racing machine in pit lane. down in 17th place and sure to tumble even further. Looks like he's succumbed some sort of drama there in this middle part of the race. As Van der Velde looks to have made the move and gained that second position from Dennis Werkman. Up to P2 then is our pole sitter in the number 808 Porsche Cayman. He's got a sizable lead to chisel at to catch up to Yannick Valenduk's bright orange Duke of Yanis 301 BMW. Just 5 seconds is the gap to close down. I'm sure Zander will be giving it absolutely everything in his attempts to catch up to our race leader. He's already taken a few thousandths out of him in this first sector. And on the run down towards the Ascari chicane, we might start to get an idea at what pace Van der Velde has, as he's put a couple of car lengths between himself and Dennis Werkman. Crucial to avoid any sort of fight back from the fellow Porsche, as Sem Spenkelink has picked up a drive-through penalty and saw that before track limits violations, as Aaron Martin Pilkington facing the wrong way once again on the exit of the second chicane. Our erstwhile race leader is no longer up inside that top 15 positions. He's slipped further down. Jordi Bakker, Stefan Arvidsson, and I think there was another car just skipping on through as he returns to racing action. Yes, he definitely lost out to Evan Atafas. Gone from bad to worse for Aaron Martin Pilkington this evening as he comes through the second Lesmo. I wonder if he's got any damage. The car is certainly not looking its best. The front end is definitely dented and showing a few signs of scrapes. He had that incident at the Ascari chicane, and now it's at the second chicane that some sort of drama has befallen him. He was fighting his way back through the order. I wonder if it was just one daring move too many. Here is a replay then into the second chicane. So Spenkelink and Patrick Tractor are battling. Tractor spins on his own accord to the inside. Oh, and as Martin Pilkington looks for a way past, just seems to lose it as he moves from left to right. That was a bit of a strange one there, Chris, wasn't it? He was behind Spenkelink, but as he moved out to maybe fill the lane and make a move into the Lesmos, he spun as Sem Spenkelink has stopped at the start-finish line. Wonder if that's to give the position back to Aaron Martin Pilkington. It's all kicking off here. In fact, Aaron Martin Pilkington in pit lane.
Yes, I think that was unexpected. If it didn't look like a touch, but clearly they must have for Aaron to go off in such a way. And I think we're probably watching both of them retire from the race right now, I'm afraid.
Let's see then. Spenkelink, I believe, is now back in pit lane. So yeah, looks like he's hopped across the wall as potentially another retiree from this evening's event. Aaron Martin Pilkington, though, in his pit box, he returned to pit lane of his own accord. He didn't hit exit. So let's see if he...
Sorry, I think I need to correct you there, Tim. I think he did, because he parked up initially right behind Sem in the pit lane, and then he seemed to jump straight to his pit from there. So I suspect he has retired. Okay,
we'll wait and see. But yeah, wouldn't be surprised if he's sustained 2 pretty heavy knocks to that front end of the car. Kieran Vidago, oh no. Yeah, absolute shame. Looks like Aaron Martin Pilkington could be out of the race, as there looks to be more drama taking place in a few knocks, scuffs and bumps for our drivers out there this evening here at Monza. So typical of this circuit, high speed, high stakes, and often the risks are just that little bit too much. But a train of BMWs here in the middle of the pack. This is Nicolas Malott ahead of Arjen Lermans and Bart Sverink, recovering from whatever earlier incident he had. He's up to P7, but it is a BMW that leads the way. So as we're into this second half of the race, and as Damien De Keyser said, it's a motor race, absolutely. Love that quote. It's Yannick Valenduk who leads the way, 4.4 seconds ahead of Dennis Werkman. Ahead of Van der Velde. Then it's Dennis Werkman in P3, a further 1.7 seconds back. Top 3 nearly in the same camera shot between the two Lesmos. Then it's 2.1 seconds back to Tim Krul's number 90 at McLaren, the first car not on the podium. But as you can see, they're actually closing up positions 2, 3 and 4. That's Nicholas Malott rounding out your top 5 ahead of Arjen Loermans and Bart Sverink. We saw those 3 M4s all together on track. Then it's Frank Hopp, Jan-Paul Eikelenboom and Colin Hines completing your top 10. Hines also finishes off the AM category podium, which is currently being led by Loermans. Then it's Eikelenboom and Hines. Those are your top 3 in the category. Then it's Jordi Bakker, Patrick Tractor, Stefan Arvidsson in P13, Evan Atafas and Mike Abrinhosa rounding out your top 15 positions. And then it's Dimitri Schenk, who's up to P16 after that very difficult race start where he got crowded out and pinballed off both the right and left-hand side walls on the run down towards the first chicane on the opening lap. He looks to be a couple of laps down, having repaired the damage and got back out on track. Then it's Suke Vervat and Bas van Mellis, your top 18 positions. I believe Baz is our final of the last of the runners and riders this evening, with Martin Pilkington, Spenkling and Garlin in pit lane and looking like they have retired from the race with over 25.5 minutes to go here. So here's one of these slipstream battles, Chris, and you've got to pick your move, haven't you? We've seen so far this evening that you can't put any half-hearted lunges in at Monza. You've got to be alongside and you've got to make the move stick.
Oh, we saw it with Patrick and Pilko, didn't we? Pilko looked like he'd really got the move done, and Patrick almost pulled off a move into the first chicane, coming back at him. So yeah, unfortunately these 3 BMWs are all equally matched down the straight. So I'm probably going to get corrected at some point, but it's just going to be interesting to see if one can get a little bit of overspeed, a good exit out of the Curva Alboreto, if that's said that one right. Because I know it is the Parabolica as well, Tim.
Well,
sorry, Cam.
I know it was renamed this year, so I know that Cam is right, but I almost don't want to bow down to that. I'm quite happy with it being the Curva Parabolica. I suppose there are far more important things going on than that, Chris, aren't there? But one of them being this battle, these 3 cars. We've got our own mini spec series going on here in the middle of the race as Malott, Loermans and Sverink battling for positions 5, 6 and 7.
Yeah, and as I said, it may be down into this corner that we're not going to name anymore, to see if one can get a good overspeed, good exit, and manage to get the car in front down the straight.
Absolutely, it's one of the more exciting things.
Trying to break the toe of each other.
I was going to say, yeah, weaving from side to side quite viciously there to try and break the toe, which is the sacred apple here at Monza. You need that slipstream to make a move. You also need it to continue to be fast and set good lap times. But I suppose the exciting things about 3 drivers all in the same car, as we've seen with the battles throughout this season between Aaron Martin Pilkington and the likes of Bart Sverink and Yannick Valenduk, is it comes down to the driver, doesn't it? You know, equal machinery, it's all in your hands and at your feet to make the difference.
Yeah, they build this racecraft over many years, some over a period of a few months. Can just jump in a rig and be really quick out of the box. But I'm sure throughout this series they've all learned each other's tells, so to speak, and where the weaknesses are, where the strengths are. And I think I've just gone off on a tangent again.
I think you're completely right though, Chris. And you actually, on a smaller scale, you work that out in the race, don't you? Lap by lap. You know, Arjen Loermans is almost certainly weighing up where Nicholas Malott is maybe faster than him or slower than him. But copy and paste that again as he gets a big slide on the exit of the Ascari chicane. And the driver at the back of this train, Bart Sverink, is trying to calculate the 2 drivers in front. He's trying to work out where Arjen's faster than him, where Nicholas is faster than him, or more importantly, where they're both slower than him and where he might be able to make a move. He looks a lot better on the entry there to the final turn as they run out onto the start-finish straight. He looks to have really closed up to the back of the number 46 LRS Racing BMW there of Loermans, and as they cross the line, He's going to be looking for a way past at turn 1, I'm sure of it. He moves out of the slipstream as they run down towards the first chicane, and Lermans seemingly seem to back out of it there, as if to say, go on Bart, it's your go now, you try and get past Nicholas, and maybe he'll open the door for his the BMW driver behind as they do so. So Bart Zverink gains position. He's up to P6 now. Malott still holds on to P5, but he's got a different driver behind him now, trying to wrestle that position away from him. As Lermans runs a high line there around the Curva Grande. Very interesting indeed. Down into the second chicane. Let's see if Zverink can start closing the gap with half a second to Malott. Get right up under that rear wing of the black and red BMW in front. Through the two Lesmos into the right hand, as Zverink does look far more confident on the brakes than his competitors on track immediately. Again, into the second Lesmo, he had one brake application there into the second right-hander, whereas Malott hit the brakes twice. We saw the brake lights on and off again into the right-hander, but it looks like Zverink is in far better control of his BMW, and as they run down towards the Ascari chicane, he has to look to the outside in order to try and find a lane past the number 22 car. Through the left and through the right, he looks far more controlled and able to put the power down with more ease than Malott's car. As they come out of the Ascari chicane, he's locked in the slipstream and moves over to the left-hand side. He's going to try and go the long way round at the final corner. Let's see if he can get it done. He might be able to get past on the brakes, but they're evenly matched as they drop the anchor into this final turn. It's Malott that holds on to the spot with a rather valiant defence of the position into that final turn. But for now, Zverink is going to have to dust himself off and try again. Down into the first chicane. Malott moves over to the inside to defend. Zverink moves to the outside. It's going to be last of the late breakers, but once again, Malott is able to get the job done. He understeers slightly wide as he was on a full brake application there. Zverink trying to prioritise the exit to try and get the runs round Curva Grande and towards that second chicane. It looks like Malott may have just done enough on the exit. We'll have to see. Locked into the slipstream once again. Zverink has to go to the outside as Malott moves to the inside line very aggressively over to that left-hand side, into the left-hander now. And again, Malott is able to just defend his line. This is costing them both plenty of time. I'm surprised to see Arjen Lermans hasn't snapped up one of these opportunities and repassed Bart Zverink as he's compromised through the turns.
I think Arjen is quite happy to sit there. He didn't defend too much on Bart, did he? And I suspect that's because he's leading the AM class. He's basically going to secure the second place within the AM class with this result.
Yeah, absolutely. No point in fighting for that with such a healthy load of points coming his way with 18.5 minutes to go. I suppose what he's hoping for, Chris, is that Zverink and Malott get together and he finds himself 2 more positions further up the road. Obviously, that doesn't change his standings in the AM category. Still gets a win, but P5 certainly would be a nice way to round out the season. As now Malott again defends to the inside on the run into the last turn. And again, Zverink tries to go around the outside. Oh, that caught me off guard there. In attempting to try and stop the car, get it turned and cut back, Arjen Lermans nearly comes steaming into the back of that number 12 BMW. Definitely caught Lermans off guard, and he has to back out of it as well on the run through that final corner. He's lost a few car lengths, and Zverink will be even more eager to get past Malott, who's managed to defend the last couple of laps with relative ease. He hasn't been challenged too aggressively. He's just been able to defend the inside and look again. Defends the inside on the way in, parks the car on the second apex, and just cuts short any supply of momentum that Bart Zverink may be able to gather together on the exit of the corner. It's been brilliant defensive driving from Malott, who hasn't pushed the boundaries. He hasn't been too aggressive in defence and still holds on to that P5 as our race leader. Another BMW out there on track, Yannick Valenduk, has definitely been closed in by Xander Vale. A gap that was 5 seconds once Vale picked up that P2 spot is now down to 1.9 seconds. And look, he's bringing Dennis Vertman with him, only 2.4 seconds back to the 444 car. So top three are definitely still all to play for, with 17 minutes to go on the clock.
Bart's got past.
Absolutely, there you go. Bart Sverring up to P5. So he's finally got past Malott. Wonder now, Chris, whether he's going to be able to kick on and clear off the road, or whether we'll see a fight back from Malott.
Well, now Bart's got to play the defensive role and go to the inside as quick as he dare, doesn't he? To defend into the corners.
Yeah, absolutely.
So roles reversed, and I think Ian's just quite happy to sit back and watch this battle.
Definitely, and I think he was probably hoping that Malott might be more compromised on the exit of a corner to be able to slide on through. So here's the replay. Malott defends the inside into the second chicane, but brilliant driving from Sverring, because they're able to use the space and go all the way around the outside. And actually, there you go. You could see Malott on exit defends immediately and chops across the front of Lermans there to cut off the run into that first Lesmo. Now, in the YouTube chat, Aaron Martin Pilkington apologising, saying, guys, the car was undrivable in the end. And unfortunately, that's why the number 626 car has dropped out of the race. As it stands, though, it looks like he will be champion nonetheless. Bart Sverring in P5. It's a shame to lose Aaron in this final race. Thank you, Aaron, for dropping by to tell us. Does Bart take the championship? No, I believe, if my maths is correct, and potentially the maths of a couple of the other guys here at SSRI, that Bart Sverring needs to win to first be able to tie you on points, and then on count back, fingers crossed for him and yourself in either situation, that your worst result is better or worse. Can't quite work out how the maths would work there, but anyway, nonetheless, the story is Sverring needs to win to be able to tie you on points before the count back and the drop score takes place. So with Sverring in P5, your championship looks safe for now, Aaron, but there's still 14 minutes and 40 seconds still to go. Here is Evan Tafas battling away with the Ginetta of Stefan Arvidsson. Nice to see the Ginetta out on track once again. Number 39 car. It's not going to be the easiest of tracks, is it, for the Ginetta? It's not got the biggest straight line speed score to its name. I'm sure he's having plenty of fun rattling across the curbs in the Ginetta. Black and red, the Garage RIP 101 machine, as they come down the hill and then climb again into the Ascari chicane, into the left-hander.
I think Stefan's had a good season, hasn't he, this season? It's certainly been one of his better ones. He's up into 6th in the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure he'll be very pleased with how this championship has played out for him, because, like you say, in the Ginetta, potentially not the best GT4 to be driving, especially when you consider the straight line speed deficit that it has. But like you say, yeah, P6 in the championship, and he's only 17 points behind Colin Hines, who's in P5 at the moment. Hines is holding on to that 5th spot in the standings, and if anything, will be jumping ahead of Dimitri Schenk and James Lyke, potentially up into P3 in the standings. So it could all change in this final race in terms of the lower positions in the championships. But yeah, like you say, Chris, a really strong season from Arvidsson, as Geordie Backer is stopped and gets going again on the exit of the first chicane between there and Curva Grande. A bit strange to see the number 99 car come to a complete stop. There's no clear indication as to why, but it's good to see that he's got going again.
I wonder if he's cut the chicane and then, just rather than trigger the drive-through, he's just stopped to give himself a bit of a breather from that drive-through gap. Not drive-through, track limit gap, sorry.
Yeah, and give back the time lost. But
yeah,
interesting to see. Well, we'll have to keep a close eye, because then clearly he's conscious of racking up too many track limit warnings. And with 12 minutes and 12 seconds to go, we'll have to see if he picks up any penalty for wandering off the racing surface one too many times as Vale has continued to close the gap to our race leader. It's now down to 1.5 seconds, and Werkman in turn has closed the gap to Zander Vale as well. So the top three separated by nearly 4 seconds. They're all together on the road. Valenduk leads, 24 laps complete, ahead of Vale and then Werkman as they fly past the camera through the Curva Grande. This is starting to just increase the heat a little bit. Vale is continuing on his strong pace. What he needs to do now is keep doing what he's doing, not change a thing, as Werkman actually makes a slight mistake through the second chicane. That's cost him a whole heap of time. Look at that. He's dropped right back nearly into the clutches of Tim Krul's McLaren, who sniffs an opportunity for a podium in this final race of the season. As Werkman has, definitely dropped out of slipstream range from the number 808 Porsche. As Vale is doing everything he can to continue closing in on Yannick Valenduk, weaving from side to side to try and pick up any ounce of slipstream he possibly can. On the run up towards the Ascari chicane then. Fairly strong on the brakes. Look how much curb they take on the inside. Then run through the long right and into the flick over the left. Again, they all cut across that inside curb in any effort to gain any sort of 10th that they can possibly find. The gap is under a second for the first time this race. 9/10 separates Valenduk and Zander Vale for the race lead. Heading into this final 10 minutes, it's going to be a shootout for the final race of the season, something we've all come to know and love, I'm sure of it, as they exit the Parabolica. As the saying goes, you're only as good as your last race, and I certainly want the bragging rights going into the next season as the last race winner. 7 tenths now the gap, as he's well within slipstream range. I'm sure he's closing even more so on the run down towards the first chicane. We are close to the final 10 minutes of the championship season. At the moment, it looks like Aaron Martin Pilkington will be claiming the title, with Bottas Verink unable to get up to the race leaders, who in turn are having their own battle for this final top step of this SRI GT4 Season 3. Vale tucked in the slipstream. Yannick Valenduk doing his best to keep his eyes forward. And Chris, that's all you can do in this situation, isn't it? You find yourself mirror watching and all the speed suddenly disappears.
Yeah, we've also got to remember the 1.8 update that's messed with everybody's car setups. In recent races since that update, we've had a mandatory pit stop for tyres because it was felt that tyres couldn't last. So this is the first race without a mandatory pit stop, and I wonder if people's tyres are going. Is that why we're seeing more mistakes? Is that why Sander is going much faster than Yannick at the moment and seemingly catching him? How many laps do you think? Two laps and Sander will be through?
2 laps. Oh, it's going to be close, isn't it? Because I wonder how much Valenduk will be willing to put up in defence. But look, this is it now. The two cars are very much together. I think the BMW potentially has more straight line speed. But like you say, Chris, I wonder whether Zander's been able to just keep those tyres alive for a little longer. Like you say, no mandatory stop this race. I wonder if the Porsche's potentially just a bit more kinder on its rubber as they exit the final corner and across the start-finish line to start the next lap of this. 8 minutes on the clock, and it's the number 808 car looking for a way past as both drivers weave from side to side. Valenduk's desperate attempts to break the toe, Vale's desperate attempts to able to close up and take a race victory in the final round of the season. And through the first chicane, he actually taps the rear of the BMW, got so close to the left-handed apex there. So he is right on the back of the bright yellow 301, bright orange 301 machine, as they head through the Curva Grande and towards the second chicane. Vale's looking for a way past. He knows he's got the win in his sights. All he needs to do is get past this BMW, which has certainly been quick in the hands of Valenduk across this season. And on the run in towards the right-hander at the first Lesmo, Vale has a look to the inside, potentially to distract his rival and try and get Valenduk to open the door himself, not have to make a move, but rather make a mistake and allow the Porsche through. Exit the second Lesmo. almost the Cayman disappears behind the mass of the BMW M4 GT4, so it is so close in the slipstream and to the rear bumper up towards the Ascari chicane. Get the feeling, Chris, that Zander's going to get one shot at this and he's going to need to make it count.
He has, and I think it's going to be into the first chicane again. We're going to see an attempt by Sander. It could be on this lap. I could be wrong with my 2-lap prediction, but only time will tell. As we see him come quite close into the final corner, but runs wide. This will give Yannick a chance to pull a bit of a gap, break the slipstream. He's weaving across the track, and it's not going to happen on this lap unless it's a massive dive bomb.
Fingers crossed we don't see any drama between these two in this battle for the race win. But yeah, Vale definitely costing himself time on the exit of the final corner, but running wide into the green and into the runoff. But he manages to gain it all back once again through this first chicane. So he needs to maximise that exit from the final turn, the Parabolica or the Curva Alboreto, whichever you pick, and get the run in the slipstream up towards that first chicane. Like you say, Chris, it seems that's where he's going to be able to make the move. Into the second chicane, Valenduk compromised on the exit. He's slow on the run up towards the first Lesmo. Vale goes to the outside. There is a lane there, which is definitely going to be closing as they go into the first of the two right-handers. Valenduk looks to be struggling potentially with his tyres in this final few minutes of the race through the second Lesmo. Valenduk just able to hold his racing line and stop the advances of the 808 Porsche. Looks like that was the first sign of weakness then from Valenduk. Run through to Ascari now. Once again, Vale looking to the inside. He's really trying to distract the BMW driver in the braking zones or just before they hit the anchors. Actually, he's made a mistake through the Ascari chicane. Runs wide, skips through the gravel on the exit of the final left-hander. And look at the momentum that's cost him and all that ground that he'd worked so hard to gain and close up to the BMW. Some of it has gone missing already as they come into the final corner. The gap was 0.26 of a second on the run in towards the Ascari chicane. And now, as they cross the line, we'll get an update on that gap. Just under 4.5 minutes to go. How much time has Vale now got to find again in order to get close to Valenduk? He's dropped to 1.3. That's a crucial distance. He's just edging towards, if not already outside, of the proper benefit of the slipstream range. Vale's going to have to dig deep if he's going to catch back up and if he's going to be able to make that pass for the race victory. Valenduk has definitely used up one of his lives, though, with that mistake on the exit of the second chicane. He was fortunate not to lose the race lead to Vale. He's now got to try redo this all again.
He's also got to try and defend from Dennis now, because Dennis was within a second of Sander now. Now, they are teammates, so perhaps they've already got they're communicating within their own private chat. We don't know that, but it's unlikely now that Sander's going to catch and overtake Yannick unless Yannick makes a mistake.
Absolutely. Dennis Verkman had made a mistake as well, and now he's brought back into contention in this battle through Vale's incident. So really, it's going to be about who makes the least mistakes. Once again, such is the close nature of this racing, that it's about the driver who can just keep the thing on the grey stuff and not make even the slightest of errors. As we saw that Vale's just running a car's width, 2 cars width wide on the exit of Ascari was enough to cost him valuable momentum and nearly losing that second place to Dennis Verkman. Top 3 still in camera shot, and then behind it's Tim Krul, who's still doing his best to hang on to the leading trio and be there to pick up the pieces should drama kick off in front of him, as it looks like Suke Verbat's in pit lane as well. So the number 73 Aston Martin looks to have been in pit lane for a few laps now, another retiree from the race. We're down to 17 drivers still competing out there on track, and it looks like we could be set for 2 more laps. We'll have to see when Yannick Vanlendert comes across the line next, but I believe we'll have another lap after this one. So Vale's been gifted another tour of this 3.6 mile Temple of Speed here at Monza to try and close up that gap and make the pass for the race victory. Vanlendert needs to just keep on his line, keep on his merry way, and not make any mistakes. Even the slightest error could cost this victory. It's great to see this, isn't it, Chris? The last race victory of the season coming down to the wire.
Is there going to be action on the last race? Last lap of the last race of the last season of SRHI. We hope so.
Fingers crossed, and what better way than to have 2 different cars fighting it out, and we're going to see a third car potentially involved as well. Bertman's close, Kroll's not too far behind as well, and I'm sure if any fireworks get set off in this final lap of the race here at Monza, the McLaren driver will be ready to get involved and pick up the pieces. Vanlendert leads Vale, Werkman, Kroll, Bart Zweringk up to P5, Nicholas Malott, Arjen Lermans, Frank Hopp, Jan-Paul Eikelenboom and Colin Hines, your top 10 positions. Patrick Tractor, Geordie Bakker, then it's Evan Atafas, Mike Abramhoser and Stefan Arvidsson. Finishes out your top 15. But on the run down to the Parabolica, Xander Vale looked for a way up the inside. He closed up through the Ascari chicane and he sent it as late as he possibly dared on the brakes. He nearly got the overlap on the BMW driver for the race lead. They come across the line. This is it. 3.6 miles. 3.6 are the fastest miles in motorsport to decide this race victory. Vanlendert has a few opportunities to defend to the inside, and he might need to do it on the run down into the first chicane as Vale looks to the inside but isn't able to close up the difference as they drop the anchor. He actually skips across that inside curb there, costing himself valuable momentum through the left-handed part of that first chicane. And we've seen him so strong there. That's one of the good, the high points of his lap. Gone amiss, and he's already dropped back a couple of car lengths as they run through the Curva Grande and up towards the second chicane for what is the final time of asking this race. The timer has reached 0. It will be the checkered flag that ends the race in a little over a minute and a half's time. Through the second chicane, another valuable overtaking opportunity gone for Xander Vale because Vanlendert was clear enough up the road to be able to take his line and not defend. Through the first Lesmo, Vanlendert looks in control, but Vale looks visibly faster. Into the second Lesmo again, clobber over the curb on the inside, but on the exit that BMW's just able to get the power down and start escaping up the road a little bit and making use of its better straight line speed under the old banking for the final time and towards the Ascari chicane. Vanlendert once again isn't required to defend the inside line. Is it going to come down to the final quarter of the race? It might just so as we cut to an aerial shot. Vale looks fast through Ascari, but Vanlendert looks like he might have just done enough. Tucked in the slipstream though is the number 808 into the final corner. It all comes down to this. Will he go for it again up the inside? He certainly is looking for it. Does he send it? He gives it a good go, but Vanlendert is so quick, but they're both slightly wide of the apex, run through the corner. Vanlendert looks to have got it signed, sealed and delivered, but in the slipstream is Vale. Will he close up enough on the run to the line? I don't think it's going to be enough. Vanlendert crosses the line and wins the final race for the SRHI GT4 season here at Monza, followed by Xander Vale, who was under 0.2 of a second back. Then it was Dennis Berkman rounding out the podium in P3, half a second as they all clatter together on the run down to the first chicane on the cool down lap. Tim Kroll bags himself P4 in the final race. Then further back it was Bart Zweringk, crosses the line P5. And I believe, if my math is correct, that confirms that Aaron Martin Pilkington is our GT4 champion in Season 3. Then it's Nicholas Malott and Arjen Lermans ahead of Frank Hopp, who reaches inside the top 10 in the final race of the season. Jan-Paul Eikelenboom P9 ahead of Colin Hines, who rounds out your AM category podium. Arjen Lermans picking up a win in class. Then Jan-Paul Eikelenboom 9th overall, 2nd in category. Colin Hines 10th overall, P3 in class. Then it's Patrick Tractor's McLaren, who crosses the line in P11. A lot of the drivers forming up on the road, potentially for a parade lap back into pit lane. Then it's Geordie Baku who takes P11 ahead of Mike Abramhoser and Evan Atafas. Then it looks like it's going to be Stefan Arvidson's Janetta picking up P14 ahead of Baz Van Mellis and Dimitri Schenk, our last of the runners and riders in P16 and a couple of laps down. But props to Dimitri for carrying on after that first corner incident, well, first run down to the first corner incident. But after 1 hour, 1 minute and 36 seconds, Yannick Valenduk did just enough to hold on to race victory. And Chris, my God, that was close.
Wow. I've just put that in chat. Absolute wow. I think the excitement you were building up mainly because we were watching to find drivers battle it out to the last corner of the last lap of the last race of the last season of SRHI. We've seen close racing throughout this series, and we hope that people will join us when we go to the new community starting on the 25th of January. I believe the first race is at Kyalami, so that is going to be a very interesting season, and we hope you follow us next season.
Absolutely, and the drivers are waiting to speak to us, so why don't we bring them in and have a word with some of the drivers who made that final race of the season so exciting. So let's speak to our race winner, Yannick Valenduk. Yannick, you look to be alone out front for the vast majority of that race, but by God, that final 15 minutes must have been tense inside the BMW.
Whew. Yeah, it certainly was. I was feeling the pressure there. That was exciting, the last 15 minutes for sure.
Must feel good though to hold on to get a race victory in the GT4s once again. But towards that middle part of the race, once Sander had got past Dennis for P2, you had a gap of about 5 seconds, but that started to just chip away and come down and come down. Did you know that Sander was catching, and really were you trying to just focus on ticking off those laps?
Yeah, that was really it. From the point that Aaron unfortunately spun out in front of me, I was kind of expecting to be my own enemy, really, because it's quite hard to stay focused when you're just driving alone out there, and I hadn't had that much practice, so I didn't really have a rhythm. So yeah, when I saw him 5 seconds, I thought, well, just take it safe. And then it started to come away with chunks, and I was trying to push more and made more mistakes, and yeah, so definitely made it exciting for the end.
Absolutely, very close. And on that last lap, just run us through your thoughts going into that final 3.6 miles of the season, because Zander looked close and he looked quick on the brakes, but he made a mistake, dropped slightly back, and it looked like it was all just going to come down to that last corner.
Yeah, definitely did. It did actually come down to the last corner, didn't it? So I was kind of expecting him to pass me when he was behind me, I think 3 laps before the end. And then I was maybe trying to force a mistake a little bit by taking slow in and faster out, so he would have to adjust his line mid-corner, and that worked a little bit. So yeah, I was just trying to focus on my own driving and try to disturb him when I could, and it worked.
Brilliant stuff. Well, it must feel good though to end the season on a high with a race victory, and looking forward to potentially being involved in the next championship season. What are your thoughts? Are you going to be sticking with the BMW?
Yeah, definitely. It's great to have been on all the steps of the podium this season in 3 races, so that's fun. I hope to be able to race next season, although the Tuesdays will still be a problem for me, maybe. So we'll see, and maybe I'll go to another car to see what that's like. Who knows?
Brilliant. Well, congratulations, Yannick, on the race victory this evening.
Cheers, guys.
We'll go over to our second place finisher, Sander Vale. Sander, that was an exciting way to finish the season, wasn't it?
Yes, it was great. My first podium, so I'm really happy. And of course, congratulations to Yannick and my teammate Dennis. This is P3. I think we teamed up a bit with Dennis because we didn't want to push each other off. So it was a great race.
Well, it started well for you as well on the front row, bagging a really brilliant pole position in this last race of the season, 0.005 of a second separating you from our now champion, Aaron Martin Pilkington. But it must feel good, to leave this season with not only the podium, but also that pole position. You can get it done in both sessions.
Yeah, it was great. My start was not that good, but after that my pace was good. So I'm really happy with the pole as well. And I need to get used to it, hopefully, the next season, and then my starts will get better.
Absolutely. Well, that final lap, like we've all said, very exciting. But coming into it, did you know where you were going to make the move? Were you trying to set up a pass into a certain corner, or really were you just taking it as it came into those the final 5 minutes?
I was hoping, my corner speeds were a lot higher, so I tried to have better exits, but Yannick defended really well, so I didn't stood a chance actually to make a clean pass at least, so congrats to him for that.
Thank you, Xander. Congratulations on PT this evening.
Yeah, thanks. Have a great evening.
Thanks, Xander. We'll go over to our P3 finisher. It's Xander's teammate, Dennis Verkman. Dennis, an exciting race for you. You seem to be there or thereabouts in terms of pace, and coming into that final few laps, what could have happened in front of you?
Yeah. First of all, congrats to the other podiums. My pace was a tiny bit slower than my teammates. I had some luck the first couple of laps. I went from P11 or 10 to P4, and I could eventually pass Sander as well. But we teamed up together to create a gap behind us. And at the end of the day, I missed a kind of corner. Sander could pass me. In order to close the gap to Yannick, because otherwise would never catch P1 and P2. So I'm really happy that we eventually could catch them. And it was very close at the end. Even P4 came very, very close. I was a little bit afraid that Tim would become even closer and he could pass me at the last couple of laps, but he stayed in the 2-second gap. I was hoping that P1 and P2 might press, but on the other hand, I know they deserve to win because they were eventually faster than I was. So I'm very happy with my P3.
Yeah, I was going to say you must be pleased to round out the season with a podium, but it's been a difficult season. You haven't. I don't think you've competed in every race, but how have you found driving the Porsche? Is it a car you enjoy, or at least have grown to love across this season?
I drove the Porsche last season as well, and I like it really, really much. Next season I will drive the Mercedes, so let's see what happens. Exciting. I'm happy to finish at the podium the last race.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Dennis. Look forward to seeing you out there on track next time.
Thanks for the commentators.
No problem. And we'll go over to our driver who finished in P7, Jan-Paul Eikelenboom. Jan-Paul, an exciting race for you. You look to be going side by side on plenty of occasions across the 60 minutes.
Yeah, I really liked the side-by-side racing. And I thought, well, I can try to hold them off, but Frank Hopp was just quicker. So I kept them a little bit behind, but after the second corner, I thought it's not going to work anymore. But it was good fun.
Absolutely, and a strong result for you. It seems to be a number of drivers are picking up some strong finishes in this final race of the season. You've obviously spent a lot of time racing this Mercedes car, but did it particularly suit the Monza circuit?
It did in the practice and in the quali also, but I had a few drifts in the corner before the start, and after that the car was even more annoying to drive than normally. So it's always a little bit a battle with this car with the back end, which sometimes doesn't work the way I like it, but it's good fun.
Absolutely, and you must be pleased to finish the season in what I believe is your best race result so far.
Yeah, I believe so. So I also was lucky with all the crashes around me, which I didn't get involved in.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations, Jan-Paul. Look forward to seeing you racing in the next season.
I will be back, so thanks.
So let's go over to another one of our finishers from the race before we bring in our two championship contenders, Arjen Leurmans, who the BMW driver looked to be locked in plenty of fights out there on track this evening. Arjen, an exciting race for you. You and that trio of BMW certainly spent a lot of time in the slipstream, ducking and diving, sending it on the brakes. How was your race this evening?
Yeah, it was amazing, really. This has been a great season. I've made so much progress, not just with the BMW. This is the first time that I drove the BMW, but also with my racecraft, and perhaps I've been a little bit too cautious in especially the first laps. Following other drivers, that was something that I really had to learn, and I think that worked out pretty good this season, and especially this race. So, but unfortunately, just not enough to overtake. But oh well, that's racing.
Absolutely, but a strong result in class as well. Another victory in the AM category, and I think that might push you up to confirm second place in the standings. It must feel good. The championship fight, I believe, was out of reach to Bas van Mellis coming into this final race, but to get a strong result again and just close that margin and just really emphasise your position, it must feel good to round out the season in this way.
I went into the last race P2, winning, no place to drop, so P2 is the final result. I'm very happy with it. Bas, of course, was in a league of his own in the AM class. Better luck next season. Next season I'll try a different car, the Aston Martin, I think. Let's see how that goes.
Brilliant stuff. We're excited to see how you get on, Arjen. Thank you very much for joining us post-race.
Thank you for the organisation and the commenters.
Thank you. Now, let's bring in then two of the drivers that came into this final race this season, battling it out for the title. And we'll go to our now crowned race champion, season champion, Aaron Martin Pilkington. Aaron, this race this evening didn't go your way. A couple of instants saw you drop out of the race, but I suppose you had your fair share of good results this season. Multiple race wins. You must be pleased to have weathered the storm and come home champion.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. I'm definitely... now that I know the mathematics that you provided me to secure my victory, I'm happy to take the championship for definitely. And it's been great to race alongside the likes of Bart and Valenduk that came in late, and Danny DeSwart and Andreas Garland and so many others. And it's been such a good season, and it's definitely one I'll remember.
You really have been the man to beat this season. You've had plenty of pace in this 626 BMW. How has it been being that man with the target on your back? Because, the GT4 racing it's not quite touring car racing, but at times it can be quite physical to some extent. And to go to tracks like Bathurst, where already it's a challenge enough making it around the track, let alone beating the other guys out there on the circuit. It must have been tricky to start, to be aware of your position as the man to beat. How did you find it?
I don't know. I think I went into every race fresh, and the pressure did build gradually throughout the season when you started to think, oh, you can really take the championship, and that maybe came at 3/4 way through. But when it was the first couple of races like Alton Park, that was an absolute banging race with me and Sem. And then we had Bathurst, and it was Danny DeSwart, Bart, me, Tom Young. The people change, but the action never does. It's always exciting. It's always great to be a part of it, and I was just lucky enough to be a part of pretty much most of it, especially towards the front. And I don't know whether this luck is going to continue next season. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But this season's been an absolute cracker.
Well, from myself, the broadcast team, and I'm sure everyone watching at home, congratulations, Aaron, our GT4 champion.
Thank you, Tim.
And Bart Sverink finished on the road in P5. Unfortunately, leaves Monza runner-up in the championship. But Bart, a long streak of podiums for you in this season, which I'm sure will be the highlight. I believe it was 7 races back-to-back you finished on the rostrum. You've been very consistent, and to be second in this championship, that we see the racing is so close. You must be pleased to round off the season with another top 5 finish and P2 in the standings.
Yeah, first of all, congratulations to Aaron, of course, for winning the championship. Yeah, this race was kind of disappointing. First chicane, I got I was in there with Frank Hopp, and there was not enough space, so I spun out. So I had to rejoin and was 10th or 9th or something. So I'm glad that I could drive back to the 5th position and get some good points again, but clearly not enough because our Aaron is champion, of course. But no, it was a very good season. What you're saying, lots of podiums. Unfortunately, not one win. That's quite a shame. So maybe I should return next year or this year for the next season to try and get that win, because that's the only one that's not in my closet yet. So I don't know. I had great fun, and I hope you had too.
We certainly had plenty of fun calling the action from the virtual commentary box. But you leave Monza at P2 in the championship. All things considered, this season has been really very strong from yourself.
Yeah. What I said, I'm missing that win, so that's quite a shame. But the rest was, my consistency was up to par. So I can leave with a good feeling about this championship.
Congratulations, Bart. P5 this evening, P2 in the championship. Look forward to seeing you next time out.
Thank you, Tim and Chris, of course.
No problem.
Thank you very much, Bart. And I'm not even going to mention it because we're live on stream, so don't worry.
Okay.
Well, let's put that one to bed. Don't want to know what that was and end what's been an exciting season or something very controversial by the sounds of it. But Chris, look, as always, great to hear from the drivers. I suppose to some extent it's quite exciting to hear from Aaron that he did start to feel the pressure when his eyes started to turn towards the championship. But another thrilling race to round out what's been an exciting season, and as we cross this threshold into a new era for this community.
I'm gobsmacked, as I said at the end of the race, of how we can be battling into the final corner. And as I've already alluded to, and you just mentioned, this championship, although it is labelled as Simsport Racing International, was organised by Sim Racing Hub International, which will cease to exist at the end of this month, as we have merged with Simsport Racing to form Simsport Racing International. I'm hoping I'm getting this all right, because there's so many acronyms and words. And we start a brand new chapter in both communities' lives, with new seasons starting, all starting afresh. So season 1 of the GT4 championship starts on the 25th of January. We have one final race as SRHI next week, which is the GT3. I'm hoping to join you at the end of that race. Obviously not as a winner, because you know my pedigree, Tim. But I very much look forward with a sort of tear in my eye to the forming of such what we believe as certainly an admin team, a great community. It's going to be a pleasure all working together, and to bring you races and events like this on a regular basis, with our also planned endurance races and 2.4 championships, all within ACC. We've also got some AC races coming on, iRacing races, and the majority of them will be broadcast live with live commentary. So yeah, it's a great era for both communities. I thank you for your time in the GT4s, and I look forward to speaking to you next week. So everybody in the YouTube chat that's just stuck to watching the GT4, please watch the GT3 next week as we say our final farewell.
Absolutely, and fingers crossed there's a lot of people will return for that final race of the season, but also for the community as it moves on to form the new grouping with Simsport Racing. It's Simsport Racing International from next week onwards. Thank you very much, Chris, for your time in the commentary box this season, and of course for your words there on what's been a truly thrilling championship. But as the curtain falls, the checkered flag flies here at Monza. Aaron Martin Pilkington crowned champion in the GT4s. He has been the benchmark, and he leaves his sim rig this evening with another trophy to his name. Thank you very much from myself, from Chris, and from Tom van der Meer, who's been our broadcast director for the last few races. For all of you in the YouTube chat for joining, watching, commenting, and being so engaged with what has been a thrilling season of GT4 racing. I hope you all join us for the start of a new chapter, and a very exciting chapter indeed, in a few weeks' time. But before then, GT3s next week. It's the final race of the championship. We'll see another champion crowned. Until then, I look very much forward to seeing you back here on the Simsport Racing International YouTube channel in a week's time. Thank you very much for watching. Good night.